Always take Billy to your room, said Ethan's mom, as she gently placed a folded Billy into the closet. That first night, Billy cried himself to sleep because he felt unneeded and unloved. Aww. Billy waited until nighttime and climbed into Ethan's bed, hoping to be welcomed with open arms, but Ethan just gently tucked Billy back into the closet. This routine lasted for a week until Billy finally accepted that Ethan no longer needed him. Years later, Ethan married a beautiful woman named Darla, and they had a baby boy named Robbie. The first night Ethan and Darla welcomed their baby boy home, Ethan drove to his parents' house in the evening. "Hey, Mom and Dad, I'm just going to grab Billy," he called as he walked through the door. Ethan made a beeline for the closet and then returned to his car with Billy in tow. As Ethan walked through the door into his new home with Darla, he wrapped Billy around his son. Ethan whispered into his newborn's ear, "Billy was my security blanket. Now he is yours, and one day he will be your child's blankie." That night, Billy couldn't help but shed tears of joy. He said, "This is who I am, a security blanket for a beloved child," while drifting off to sleep. Billy, the security blanket, was hurt that Ethan no longer wanted him by his side, so he tried to make things go back the way they used to be. We can all understand wanting things to be the way they were, perhaps when times were simpler and the demands of life didn't seem to be so stressful. Over time, Billy began to understand his new place in Ethan's life. He allowed Ethan to live his life and experience new things, grow older and mature without holding him back. In the end, he was rewarded for his steadfastness by being welcomed back into the family in a familiar role for a new family member. You're likely to experience a similar situation. Maybe it's not a physical security blanket, but instead an old habit or an old definition of faith that needs to be put away. It's important to understand that for your faith to keep pace with the growth you are experiencing, sometimes you have to let go of what used to serve you and help you feel safe and secure. If your old definition of faith feels like it's smothering you instead of expanding with you as you grow and expand, take action to free yourself from the past. The rewards of a robust faith life that resonates with you and the life you live now are immeasurable. Your happiness depends on you and the experiences you embrace, which may be different from those that have served you in the past. You sit in the driver's seat of your life, and that means your faith life as well. You must have a faith life that fits who you are right now, and that provides room for you to grow for who you want to become. The faith of your past may or may not bring you true fulfillment you deserve, and if it's rigid and unmoving and you keep walking a path of growth and discovery, leave it behind you without a second thought. Embrace the possibility of an emerging faith that leans on the foundation of the past, builds with influences and inspiration from the present, and makes room for the growth of the future. It is now time for our offering. We here at the Universalist Church at Fern Street are grateful for all the ways in which you, our congregation, support us and one another by offering your time, talent, and treasure to this community. You help us serve the members, friends, and wider community of this congregation. As part of this service, we share our general offering each week with organizations that are in harmony with our values, who do work in the world that brings us ever closer to creating the beloved community. Our plate sharing recipient for August is Real Art Ways. Real Artways is a nonprofit organization dedicated to bringing the arts to the community through film, exhibitions, performances, and gatherings where all are welcome. It began in 1975 as an artists' living and working collective and has evolved to become one of the country's outstanding contemporary art spaces, one that has a special link with its own community. They work with emerging and established artists, have a diverse and dynamic audience, and are deeply committed to giving LGBTQ and BIPOC artists and performers nurturing space in which to develop and share their work. To give electronically, please use the QR code on your order of service, the links in the description, or those on the website to make your donation to our offering. Here in the sanctuary, our offering will now be gratefully received as we listen to Everybody by Ingrid Michaelson, performed by Meeting House. Thank you. May the gifts of this congregation be multiplied many, many, many times over. And may the love and generosity of those who give Our congregational reading this morning is at number 657 in the gray hymnal. It can be read responsively, so if you'd like to read it responsively with me, please feel free, but no pressure. It is entitled, "It Matters What We Believe," and was written by Sophia, Lyon, Fahs. Some beliefs are like walled gardens. They encourage exclusiveness and the feeling of being especially privileged. Other beliefs are expansive, leading the way into wider and deeper sympathies. Some beliefs are like shadows, clouding children's days with fears of unknown calamities. Other beliefs are like sunshine, blessing children with the warmth of happiness. Some beliefs are divisive, separating the saved from the unsaved, friends from enemies. Other beliefs are bonds to the world community, where sincere differences to unify and have. Some beliefs are like blinders, shutting off the power to choose one's own direction. Other beliefs are like gateways, opening wide vistas for exploration. Some beliefs weaken a person's selfhood. They blight the growth of resourcefulness. Other beliefs nurture self-confidence and enrich the feeling of personal worth. Some beliefs are rigid, like the body of death, impotent in a changing world. Other beliefs are vital, like a young sapling, ever growing with the outward thrust of life. Thank you, everyone. And now it's time for our doxology. Praise God for love we always share. Praise God for beauty everywhere. Praise God for hope of to be. Praise God for truth that makes us free. Please be seated. We extend our strength, love, and compassion to Sophia Michaelson and her family as they walk through the transition of her beloved grandfather. She asks that the congregation hold him and the family in their thoughts and prayers as he transitions, we pray, to a peaceful death. The loss of an elder in any family is a time of sorrow and of pain. We weep for the loss of their presence in our lives and wish that they could remain with us always. While we deal with their impending transition, we can also take comfort in the love they shared with us throughout their life, the lessons they taught us, and the impact they've had on the entire family and even the entire community. May the good memories be strong and close, and may the love they held for their family continue to comfort and restore those grieving their time of transition. May all within the sound of my voice hold up and support Sophie and her family in this challenging time. May they feel the love from this congregation soothe their hearts. I want to share with you now the words of Richard S. Gilbert entitled, "We Meet on Holy Ground." We meet on holy ground, brought into being as life encounters life, as personal histories merge into the communal story, as we take on the pride and pain of our companions, as separate selves become community. How desperate is our need for one another, our silent beckoning to our neighbors, our invitations to share life and death together, our welcome into the lives of those we meet, and their welcome into own. May our souls capture this treasured time. May our spirits celebrate our meeting in this time and this space. for we meet on holy ground. We lift up those members of this community who ask for assistance, for prayers, for love, and equally we lift up those whose requests are made to the sun, the moon, the stars, and to the silence. Whether we hear their call or not, may they find what they need at the exact time they need it. And we celebrate with those members of this community who are laughing, full of joy, sending their thanks and gratitude to the skies, to the stars, to Spirit. We rejoice with them, silently, personally, with enthusiasm, or just with a smile. May we all be lifted. May we all experience joy. And join us now in singing Spirit of Life, should you choose to do so. I want to share with you this reading entitled As We Weather Winds of Change, written by Maureen Killeran, after which we will be graced by another musical message from our summer choir entitled Now I Walk in Beauty. As we weather winds of change, may we have wisdom to cherish moments of stillness. As we recollect times of challenge and of pain, may we remember also the graceful blessings of our lives. As we look to future unknowns, may we have the boldness to trust that there is unimagined good yet to come. I welcome back to the front of the church, summer choir. faith, a loaded term that can carry multiple meanings, some heavy, like the weight of wisdom, and some lighter, like the lightness of heart that brings a smile to your face and a bounce to your step. James Luther Adams, one of our Unitarian forebears, outlined 3 tenets of faith for the free in an essay originally published in 1946. What then is faith? To many people, the word signifies the acceptance of something that puts a strain on the intelligence. Accordingly, faith is to them a belief that what is not true, or what is by nature not fact, but wish. Adams went on to quote Emerson, "A man or woman bears beliefs as a tree bears apples." Excuse me. He bears beliefs about himself, about his fellows, about his work and his lay, about his past, about his future, about human destiny, what he loves, what he serves, what he sacrifices for, what he tolerates, what he fights against. These signify his faith. So what are your beliefs about yourself? Where did they come from? And how were they formed? Many of us, perfectly imperfect human beings that we are, form our beliefs about ourselves because of our upbringing. Whether we were a parent of a two-parent family characterized as normal, or we came from a single-parent home characterized as broken, those foundational descriptors begin to build the vision we have of ourselves and the degree of faith we have in ourselves. Our level of education gives rise to assumptions about our level of intelligence and our capabilities. Those who have earned a high school diploma are estimated to have one level of intelligence. Those with bachelor degrees, a higher level, and those with advanced degrees, still more intelligence on a still higher level. With that said, we all know or have heard of people who have not attained advanced degrees, yet have a measure of intelligence far beyond their level of education. This is evidence of a new definition of intelligence, one that is more expansive. Realizing that intelligence is a quality that can be attained and expanded beyond the delimiters of an educational degree, then is a change to the level of one's faith in education as a measure of yourself and indeed a measure of your friends or fellows. So what about your work? We've been told for years that the way to a more financially lucrative life is advanced education, and that degrees are the route to a higher salary. Entrepreneurs will often put a challenge to that statement, as many of them experience income in the millions without the benefit of a traditional college degree. The emergence of dot-com billionaires a few years ago and the continued existence of people who make fortunes based on work that doesn't happen in a traditional physical location, but instead can take place anywhere in the world where there's a good internet connection, is evidence of a definition of work that changes paradigms, self-definitions, and lives. What about those aspects of life that Adams and Emerson stated are signifiers of your faith? What you love, serve, sacrifice for, tolerate, or fight against. Those are the things that signify, make a sign or signal your faith. As an example, I'd like to use my parents, Charles and Catherine Morton. They loved us, the members of their family. They served and sacrificed to provide shelter and sustenance for us, tolerated some mistreatment and unfair circumstances to pave a better way for their children, and they fought against injustice so that their children might be treated more fairly than they had been. They did not, unfortunately, live to see the fruits of all of their labor or their exercise of faith in these areas. They worked, performed, held on, and kept walking toward a world they wanted to be better for those coming behind them. They exercised a new angle on faith, the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. No one knew what would happen, but they had faith. Some would say hope, that the future would be better for and to their children than it had been to them. So what does it mean to exercise emerging faith? To act without that substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. To emerge means that something is coming into view or notice, and also that it can call for immediate action. Other words used to define the term include appear, rise, show, or come forth. When your faith, whatever shape it takes right now, is coming into view, prompting you toward immediate action, that faith, those actions are emerging. When I first began developing a faith path, I started with a more traditional church environment. An early negative response to my enthusiasm about the service and the music being played turned me away from that path, and I started searching. You may have begun your life on a different faith path than the one you're on now, if you started with one at all. That's perfectly fine and actually to be expected. Faith demands the best of us. The early parts of our lives are not necessarily us at our best. The more time that passes, the more days and weeks and months that we live, the more growth we experience. The faith that served us during our early lives is not always the one that remains with us throughout our lives. As we grow and change, why shouldn't our faith? Emerging faith can include elements we didn't understand or have knowledge of when we were younger. We learn about new resources, new wisdom, find new sources of information that may not always agree with what we knew previously, but keeping an open mind and heart empowers us to gain benefits from new knowledge. Learning new ways to exercise our faith, to make it a part of our daily lives and actions, to allow its guidance to be present in many different areas of our lives, these are all good things. A faith that cannot grow, flex, and change with us is not one that encourages growth. I believe that if we are not growing, stretching, and changing, we're living a dull and uninteresting life, and who wants that? Emerging faith is excited about new innovations, new experiences, and new options for bringing good energy and good information into your life. Just as we are not wearing the same size of clothing we wore when we were children, having a faith that grows with us means we have the best of both worlds. The security of what we grew up with or what we were introduced to early in life, and the knowledge that we can choose to adapt and change our faith life as we adapt and change is what empowers us. It's part of our free will. We have different experiences now than we did when we were young. We have different needs, and we can accept many more options. Our minds, hearts, and spirits are more expansive and hopefully more accepting. Very few things stand still in our world. Curriculums in schools and colleges change and are updated with new information and influences on a regular basis. Why not do the same with our faith walk? Being intentional about walking an emerging faith path will take effort and introspection. You can work on specific aspects of your current path and improve them one by one. But let me suggest that committing to a full transformation of your faith will power you forward. A piecemeal effort may not yield the results that you deserve. What's currently working for you in your faith journey? What are the proven practices and comforting truths that you lean into? What used to work for you and may not need to be thrown away, but you can certainly update the influences and the information you're using in your journey. We have updated roadmaps for travel. Why not update the map for your faith journey as well? What inspires you? Music, spoken word, poetry? Are you including those elements in your emerging faith journey? What books are you currently reading that help move you forward on your faith journey? Are there new materials available from favorite writers or researchers that can bring new insight into your faith life? Give yourself the gift of time to explore. Keep what works for you and see if there are ways you can expand, update, and renew your favorite influences. Look into new voices that resonate with you and seek out new ways to reach your spiritual goals. Your values are different now than they were when you were younger. Perhaps it's time to refresh and renew your guiding principles. Our UU principles may hit differently with you now than they did years ago or even months ago. So what's changed about how you see the principles and how you implement them into your life? Making space for an experience of emerging faith helps to not only strengthen your connection to faith, but gives you an energizing shot in the arm, so to speak, so that you can continue to experience fulfillment. Now, if you're feeling a little resistance to the idea of change as it relates to your faith journey, take a deep breath or two and examine where that resistance might be coming from. Exploring new ideas doesn't mean that the old ideas are wrong or bad, just that they might need a refresh or an update. So, here's your teaser. Come back next week, and we'll be talking about established faith, stable and deep-rooted traditions and practices that continue to hold us up and give us something we can depend on. Be well, go in peace, and enjoy now our closing hymn, number 396, I Know This Rose Will Open. Let us speak together the words of our unison benediction. Engage the world in peace. Have courage. Hold on to what is good. Return to no person evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Honor all beings. Please remain for our postlude. You can be seated. Our postlude is entitled White Flag, written by Natalie Klosner and performed by Meeting House and our summer choir, who have done an absolutely phenomenal job. this morning. Thank you very much, everyone.